Welcome back to AM Northwest. The popular true crime podcast is now an ABC docuseries. Scamanda follows a twisted tale of a California woman convicted of defrauding donors of more than $100,000. But really, it's how she did it that's so shocking.
Amanda Riley was a mother, wife,
speaker at her church.
Everybody loved her. She got diagnosed with cancer.
I heard the words, "You have stage 3 blood cancer."
When Amanda told me she had cancer, I was so devastated.
A beloved young Christian woman fighting a battle undeserved.
We gave our hearts, our prayers.
We thought she was God's gift, but she was a liar.
Why would somebody fake cancer?
Here to share more, we welcome the creator and host of this Scamanda podcast, award-winning journalist Charlie Webster. Charlie, so great to have you. I think this podcast is really the best podcast I've ever listened to, true crime podcast. It is just amazing. How did you find out about Amanda Riley?
Well, firstly, thank you, because that means so much to me, because I worked so hard on this day and night. I was even dreaming about when I was making it. In a nutshell, there's a woman called Nancy who tried to take Amanda down because she got an anonymous tip and she felt like Amanda was lying of cancer, but it was so hard to prove that she was lying because of HIPAA laws, protect people's health records. And then Nancy showed me Amanda's blog post, and Amanda blogged like her own personal diary, and it was in the heyday of blogging when she started. And so I sat down and read all her blogs and was like, no way. And I was like, wow, if this is true, this is. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to investigate this myself, and then made it into a podcast and now a TV show.
And a TV show, fantastic. Congrats on that. What's fascinating in so many ways is how she was able to put up pictures that showed her like getting treatment at a hospital, and her head was shaved, and how many people how many wonderful, sweet, caring people she conned into giving her money and trips and all of that. And she did it at her church as well, and they were all conned.
Yeah, that's what makes it so fascinating, because maybe if you haven't listened to the podcast, you might be like, how do people not know?
Yeah.
Well, you've just been showing some pictures. That's how people did not know, because Amanda did go to hospital. She did have IV drips. She did sit there with a port in. She showed pictures. People saw her faint in church. They saw her pee her pants. They saw her get taken off in an ambulance with a shaved head. So there was no reason to ever question, does this woman have cancer? Because she demonstrated that she did. But also, are you going to be the person that says, does this woman have cancer?
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple things. One is, I think there's some people that think, well, really, is there a crime here? But there is a crime, because so many people gave her their hard-earned money, money that they could have used themselves. They gave money, they gave meals, they gave transportation, they gave trips to this young woman, thinking that she needed the help.
Helen, that's such a great point, because when I was looking into this, I spoke to the detective on the case, Detective Martinez, and he was trying to find all the evidence he could possibly find, and he knew there was discrepancies, but because, again, he couldn't access medical records, he couldn't do anything about it, because technically lying should be maybe, but lying is not against the law. Amanda lied about having cancer. That's not a criminal offense. Maybe it is in court of opinion, but it's not by the law. So then it got passed to the IRS so that they could try and do something. And the only way that Amanda could be stopped was via her being tracked through money.
Right.
And in the end, Amanda got convicted on wire fraud from the money that people gave, but only, Helen and everyone else, online. So all the money that people gave in cash, which I just think you showed on your pictures, because people gave cash and flooded this stage on church where Amanda was giving her testimony. They came up and gave like cash, and cash was at her feet. None of that counted. All the services where people babysat for her, people gave meals, none of that counted in the court of law. So the only way that Amanda could be sentenced was through wire fraud. So it's a fascinating case in criminal terms, but also psychologically.
What have you gotten to learn about her since doing the podcast? Because you've spoken to her in prison now, I understand.
Yes, I have. So I actually did approach her before, or on the moment because that I was starting to make the podcast. Because the reason why was I needed to know who Amanda was. Is she somebody that's sorry? Is she somebody that can see the harm? You know, you talked about the finances, but the emotional harm and the long-term trauma. There's people that left their careers because of this, that are questioning their sense of self, that are questioning whether they can trust people. And it's an interesting story of betrayals in family and friendships, as well as this kind of wonderful thing of Amanda lying about cancer. And so I have spoken to Amanda. I did approach her at a sentencing. We had some conversations from then. And then while she was in prison, we went back and forth. And in the podcast, if you've listened to it, that is an accurate portrayal of Amanda, because I did get to know her. And I asked her if she wanted to speak and apologize, tell her story, and speak to the victims and explain. Because the biggest question is why. And then I also asked her for the documentary, but at the moment she's not allowed to speak to the media. But she did tell me, I'll get to the point, she did tell me that she can't believe what she's done and she is sorry. It's up to people whether they want to believe that. I'm explaining what she said to me, and that it just became a spiraled lie that became very addictive. And I can kind of see that because of how we perceive social media, and we look at our social media and you get a like and then you want another like, and we get validated from that, even though it's through people we don't know. And so I feel like this was very much about validation, attention, and it became very addictive rather than about the finances. But she says that she's sorry and she wants to serve her time, and can't believe what she's done and will regret it every day of her life.
Yeah, and then yet we hear about her calling for the ambulance while she's been in prison and going to the hospital while she's been in prison and more. It is absolutely incredibly fascinating. We want to tell everyone Scamanda is available wherever you get your podcast, and also check out the docuseries right here on KATU, premiering at 9 p.m. this Thursday night. Charlie, thank you so much. Great job.
Thank you so much for having me.
You
Thanks
bet.
for everyone who listened.
All right, we'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.